right, so we are starting with just the end of chapter 2 here. So we're going to look at cumulative frequency distributions. Then we're going to do some other different types of displays. So you have, in addition to bar graphs and circle graphs, stem and leaf, and dot plots. Okay. So here we have, let's see, following data give the numbers of orders received for a sample of 30 hours at Time Saver Mail Order Company. So this is your raw data. It's not put in any sort of order. You could put it in order if you wanted to. Where are we at? Or you can just circle through the data, which I'm going to do. It's kind of up to you. The hard part with the homework sometimes is that the data is going to be given to you like this. So you're transferring it from the screen to your paper kind of thing. So you're kind of like touching the screen and doing all that stuff just to make sure you don't miss anything. That's kind of a pain in the butt. Oops. But with the stuff on the screen, I mean, unless you print it out, there's really no way around that. So here's what we're going to do. So we're going to construct a frequency distribution table, but we're going to do classes. So we're making a grouped frequency distribution table when it talks about using a lower limit and an upper limit. So you want to use 23 as the lowest lower limit of the first class and a class width of 7. So remember, for the class width, you would take the lower limit from this class here, and you would subtract 7. So if we just go backwards, we can add 7 to 23, and this is going to be 30. So we know what the lower limits are each going to be. They're each going to be a difference of 7. So then we can just go through here. We can add another 7 here. That would be 37. And then we'd have 44. Then add 7, that would be 51. And I'm going to have to zoom out just a little bit so I can get the whole curve. Oops. There we go. And then we'd add another 7 would be 58. And then we can add in the upper limit. So that's just going to be one below these. So we'd go 23 to 29 before we hit this class, then 30 to 36, then 37 to 43, 44 to 50. Let's see, 51 to 57, and then 58. Here I'm adding 7 from 57, so that'd be 64. Okay, so just notice here the width, 23 to 30, 30 to 37, 37 to 44, 44 to 51, 51 to 58. Okay, that all has a difference of 7. Same thing on this side. Okay, so you have your class widths. So here, well, you could do it one of two ways. So I look at the lower limit of the second class is 30, so I just go one below 30, which would be 29. Or, well, I'd have to do that to start it, but then to keep going on this side, then I could add 7 on this side as well. Or you could go to the next class, okay, it's 37, one below 37 is then 36. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my frequency. So I'm just going to go through my data and I'm going to, almost like a word search. Okay, I'm looking for everything between 23 and 29. I'm just going to cross them out as I go. So if I just go on the first row, let's see, nothing there. I have 28, so that's 1. I have a 24, so that's 2, and I'm just crossing them out. 3, 27, 27. That's it. So there's 4 there. Everybody get 4? And that's kind of how we're going to go about this. So then between 30 and 36, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the first row. 5, one more in the second row. 6, 7, 8, 9. So I found 9 between 30 and 36. So 9 there. All right, then 37, 43. Let's see, in the first row, I've got 1, 2. One more in the second row, so that's 3. Then you got 4. That looks, no? I had to have missed one. Oh, I'm forgetting in the 40s. Okay, so 37 to 43. So hold on. Let's start over. So we had 9 here. All right. So we got 1, 2. So we're going to 43. 3 in the top. All right, then 4, 5, 6. That's better. Did you guys get 6? Then 44 to 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm getting 8 there. Then 51 to 57. There's 3 numbers left. Looks like all of them are in that group. 1, 2, 3. So then in the last group, there would be 0. Okay, so count them as you go. So you know it said how many there were here, right? There were 30. So if I add up my frequencies, I should get 30. So let's see, 4 plus 9, 13, plus 6 would be 19, plus 8 would be 27, plus 3 would be 30. So the sum of my frequencies is going to be 30. Okay, then the relative frequency, recall the formula for that. You're going to get the frequencies over the sum of your frequencies. So frequency, that's this column here, that's your lowercase f. Okay, so we would do 4 divided by 30 for the first one. Pull up my calculator. 4 divided by 30. So 0.13. We'll do 2 decimal places. That should be fine. Okay, then 9 divided by 30. 0.3. So go ahead and just put 0.30. Then you have 6 in the next column, so 6 divided by 30. So 0.2, you can put 0.20. Then you have 8 divided by 30. So 0.2, we'll do 0.27. 3 divided by 30. 0.10. And then we know 0 divided by 30 is going to be 0. Since this last column doesn't have anything in it, and it is the last column, you can ignore it. Now, if it were in the middle and it had 0, then you would want to use it in your graphs. Okay, but this is the last one, so it kind of just isn't really even necessary. We're going to use it anyway. Percentage frequency, so we're just converting these to percents. So this is going to be 13%, 30%, 20%, 27%, 10%. And then I'm just going to draw a line down here. Okay, let's add those together, make sure they add up to 100. And we're good. Okay, then you have your cumulative frequency and your cumulative relative frequencies. Remember, you're adding as you go. So cumulative, you're adding this column as you go. So you would start with 4. Then you would add 9, so that would be 13. Then you would add 6, which would give you 19. Then you would add 8, which would give you 27. And then add 3, which would give you 30. So just as you go. And then cumulative relative frequency, you're adding this column as you go. So you would start with a 0.13. And then you're going to add 0.3, so that's going to be a 0.43. Then you're going to add 0.20, which would be a 0.63. Then add 0.27, that should give you 0.90. And then add 0.10, that should give you 1.00. Okay, so you want your percentage frequency and your cumulative relative frequency columns to add to 1. All right, now curves for these. An ogive curve, does anybody know what an ogive curve is? It's just a line graph. It's just a fancy word for a line graph. it's just not like a straight line. It's like a, you're making the marks as you go. So that's basically it here. We can draw one on here, and you can use Excel too. Excel's probably better. But let's go an X and a Y axis. Make that black. All right, that should be good enough there. Okay, so when you're doing the curve, the ogive curve, you're going to be plotting the cumulative relative frequency. So that's going to be on your Y column. So that's going to be cumulative relative frequency. So we can just go, it's going to go up to 1. So just go in 10. So you've got 0.1, 0.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0.9, 0.8. I got a little closer together towards the top, but that's okay. And then on the x-axis, you're going to do your classes. But here's the thing with your classes. Okay, so recall the midpoint formula is going to be add the lower limit. Where'd my pen go? There it is. Lower limit plus upper limit, and then divide by 2. So you do 23 plus 29, and then divide by 2. So 26 would be the midpoint here. So I'm just going to add a column. We'll go over here. Midpoints. So 26. Then you have 30 plus 36, that's 66. Divided by 2 should be 33. Notice that goes up by 7. So you could just do the same thing that you did when you were making your classes as well. Or you can keep going. 37 plus 43 would give you 80. Divided by 2 would be 40. Okay, and then I'm just going to add 7. So 47, 54. And I don't need that last one, remember, because it's at the end. So we don't need to worry about that. Actually, let's go ahead and do it. Just to show it on here. So that would be 61. So then let's make marks for that. So I'm going to go 26, 33, 40, 47, 54, 61. And then I'm just going to be plotting the cumulative relative frequency. So my last column here, so 0.13, maybe about right here. What just happened? Let me make very thick points here. Hold on. That's too much. Okay. All right, so 0.13 about right here. Let's see, then you have 0.43. About right here. 0.63. About there. 0.90 right here, and then 1 up here, and then this stays at 1. Because if you added 0 to 1, you would still get 1. So then your curve kind of looks like this. You start down here and you go to this point, and it's fragmented. This actually looks pretty straight, but it is slightly fragmented. And there's your ogive curve. Now, of course, anytime you're doing a graph, I always recommend doing Excel on here. So if you just put a simple line graph in Excel, you should be able to do that. Let me see. I can do one real quick. So even if I just pull my first 2 columns over, it should be okay. Let's check. Let me type it in real quick. All right, so here's my data. And if I highlight it, I can insert. Let me take a look here. Line graphs. Okay, this would be type of ogive curve. You are going to want to chart with the relative frequency so that you can see this, because this is now just charting those plots. So let's go ahead and make another column with our relative frequencies for the cumulative. Actually, let's do formulas in here. So let me insert some titles. So you have your classes, then you have your frequency. Okay, let's do the relative frequency. And then your cumulative relative frequency. And the best way to really get good at Excel is just to play around with it. So like even here, highlight this, and then if you click where you get that cross arrow like that, oh, that's not working. Maybe we go this way. Yeah, highlight these. Then it'll make it nice and big so you can actually see your wording. Relative frequency. So let's first get the sum of these numbers. So you could do just a quick one. You could do quick sum right here. It'll highlight that for you. Okay, or equals sum, and then highlight what you want to get the sum. So that would be the sum of the frequencies. Then the relative frequency, you can type a formula in. So you can go equals, and then what I want to do is I want to do this frequency divided by, so use your division symbol. I want to do it by the cumulative. So it'd be 8. So then hit enter. Okay, your relative frequency is done for you. You can pull this down. It should copy the formula. No. You got to do it one more time because we're being divided by this reference here. So let's do it one more time and then it should copy it. So equals, click what you want. So 9 divided by this column here, 30. And then let's see, if I highlight both and pull it down, it's still not going to do it for me. So I'm going to have to do it for each one. Another way, actually, you know what would pull it down if I just change this to 30 instead of 8. Now it should copy. There you go. Okay, and then you can also, okay, that's too long, I want to change it. Well, here's how you can change the decimals. That's going to give you more decimals. This is going to give you less decimals. So I only want 2. I want 2 for all of them. There you go. Okay, so this little up here where it says number changes the decimals. And then cumulative relative frequency. There you go, equals this, C2. Okay, then I'm going to add. So I want equals, I want my previous column plus the column to the left. Enter. Let's see if it'll copy that. There you go. Okay, so now I want to do my ogive curve. So what I'm going to do here is the ones I want highlighted on the curve. So I want class and I want cumulative relative frequency. So you can hide these two columns if you highlight, right click and go to hide. You can do that. Or what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the columns I want. So I want classes. I'm going to highlight that and then I'm going to hit Control on my keyboard. And then I'm going to also highlight this. So that lets me highlight 2 things at once while releasing my mouse. And then insert, and then I want a line graph. There's my ogive curve. And then you can play around with that. You can make it pretty, and then you can copy and paste it into a nice presentation if you're ever going to do a presentation with statistics. So always go for the Excel rather than the drawing. Looks a lot nicer. Okay, stem and leaf plot does not work in Excel. Stem and leaf plots, I've actually, and I know I'm recording, so I'm okay saying this on the recording, I've actually never really seen this used in real life. I don't really see a use for it, but so you know what it is. Basically, the stem is the tens place and the leaf is the ones place. Okay, so if I'm going on here, let's go. All right, so stem is your tens place and the leaf is your ones place. And you're going back up to your original data. So I have it copied down here just for you guys so you can see. So you're looking at the tens place, the lowest number was 24, right? So everything in the 20s would go with this stem. Everything in the 30s would go in this stem, 40s, and 50s. So anything in the 20s. So in the 20s, you had 24, 28, 27, and 27. So your leaf are all these ones places, and then they're just in order. So you would do 4, 7, 7, and then do the same thing with the 30s. So in the 30s, we had, let's see, you had 34, 31, 38, 35, 32, 39, 33, 37, 30, 38, 34, 36, and 30. So then, let's see, you've got 30, you've got 2 zeros. So you have a 31, you have a 31, so you'd have a 1. 32, you'd have a 2 as a leaf. 33 leaf. 34, you've got 1, 2, so you'd have 2 4s. 35. There we go. Getting a little finicky here. 36, you've got a 6. 37, got a 7. You have an 8 and you have a 9. Wait, there should be 2 8s. 2 8s and a 9. All right, so there's your 3s, then your 4s. You have 2 41s, so you should have a 1 and a 1. You have a 44, a 45, so you have a 5 there. You have 2 46s, 2 47s, and a 49. And then 50, you have 50, so a 0, 52, yeah, 52, so a 2, 53, so a 3, and a 7. And that is your stem and leaf plot. So the stem is the tens place, the leaf is the ones place. If it were in the hundreds, like if it were 108, the stem would be 10. Or 200, the stem would be 20. Okay, so we're not going to have like an extra stem 1, stem 2, or anything like that. Okay, so I think now we have just some practice stuff that we want to work on. Oh, I also wanted to give you guys a dot plot. So before we do this, and this I want to do in the in Excel. So we're going to do that together. Let me go down. Actually, we'll go right here. I'm going to do a dot plot right here. The budget one I want to do in Excel. That's actually going to be part of an extra credit project later on in the semester. Is just doing a budget in Excel and doing a bar graph or pie chart of it. But let's use this to make a dot plot because I want to go over that. Dot plots are really simple, but actually, if I could just type. No. Type. There we go. All right, so you don't have to type out this whole problem, but it's the following data, just the numbers. Oh, I should make that bigger. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so the following data gives the number of times each of 15 randomly selected teenagers picked up their phones in a 24-hour period. It's scary. Construct a dot plot for this data. Use a grouped frequency distribution. So in this one, you're actually creating your own groups. You're going to try and decide what the best group is. So here's the data. You've got 39, 25, 45, 80, 28, 100, 94, 62, 36, 77, 64, 87, 88, 90. All right, so let's think about how we want to group this. So you've got 15 numbers. Our lowest number is going to be 25. And what's our highest number? 100. So what do you think we should group this? If I'm going from 25 to 100, I probably have a pretty good grouping. I want to have a good number of categories so I can represent the data well by tens, not everything in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. So anything you have with a good spread like that, go in tens. If it's a shorter spread, so say if it were 25 to 50, I would go in fives. If it were like 20 to 40 or something like that, I'd go in like threes or fours. So you always want to kind of look at that. Another way, sometimes on the homework, it'll tell you how many groupings to do. So it'll say do 6 groupings. Then in that case, you would do 100 minus 25, divide by 6. That would give you how much you need to spread the data out. All right, so let's see here. If we're going to go, and you're just doing this. So actually on a dot plot, there really is no y-axis. So ignore the y-axis. So here I'm just going to make marks. I've got the grouping from 20 to 29, or you could do 21 to 30. Let's do 20 to 29. 100. Let's not do that. Let's do 21 to 30. Yeah. Okay, then we'll do 31 to, then 41 to 50. 51. Maybe this is the mouse. It'll just be in a pain. 51 to 6, 61 to 70, 71 to 80, 81 to 90, and then 91 to 100. Okay, now here's where I'm going to make my big dots. I don't know where the control button is. Uh-oh. There it is. Okay. Trying to erase that dot. Okay, there it is. For some reason, the control button is deciding to day, all night, nothing. So in 21 to 30, how many do we have? Yeah, you got two. You got 25 and 28. So you're just going to put 2 dots. Try and make them in a straight line. 31 to 40, how many do we have? 2 dots again. 41 to 50. 2. 51 to 60, 61 to 70. 2 again. 71 to 80. 2. And then 81 to 90 looks like. And then 91 to 100, I've got 2. So that's a dot. How many do I have in each category? All right, let me pause this. Let's go ahead and take a look at these practice problems. So hopefully your guys did not cut off here. Oh, that's just the last one. Yours is okay? All right, good. All right, so the type of distribution in A, uniform. Good. All right, what about B? Skewed left. Okay, so we're looking, this is the small part. Where the tail is, that's the skew. So this is skewed left. What about C? That's normal distribution. Nice. In the middle, looks like the mean, median, and the mode are all the same. Okay, that's what we like. What about this one? I think it just looks a little bit like this. And then another one there. So this one's kind of tricky. But if you notice, there's normal, and there's normal, and the peaks are the same. So this is actually normal distribution. You just have different, it's like a double normal distribution, two means, two medians at different sides. So you could split this into 2 different sets, or you can analyze it as one. All right. Let's take a look at this one. So we have a large, so this is maybe like if you are working at a real estate company and you're at, or you're not there anymore, it's maybe a Zoom conference, they put this slide up. Okay, this is what our sales looks like for the month. Yay, you. You're like, okay, where am I? You got to look at that, right? So let's see. They keep records of home sales. Each month, the company publishes the sales volume for each agent. Monthly sales volume is defined as total sales price of all homes sold by the agent. The figure below displays the cumulative relative frequency of the most recent monthly sales volume. This is in hundreds of thousands for these agents. So here's what we want to think about. This is an ogive curve. Okay, it's giving you the cumulative relative frequency. So here's what we're looking at. So you've got the percentage. So think about the ogive curve. You've got the category would be the sales volume, right? So category. If we were to break this out and look at it backwards, okay, you've got categories are going to go from 1 to 12, all the way down to 12. Okay, then you have your frequency. Well, we don't know what the frequencies are. We don't know the relative frequency, but we do know the cumulative frequency. Okay, so if you look at it that way, you can kind of go backwards. You have at 1, you've got 0.10. We don't know how many agents there are, okay, but we know that's 0.10. Well, if you go back as a percentage, that'd be 10%. Okay, then here, this cumulative frequency is 0.20. Okay, remember you're adding them as you go. So if I subtract backwards 0.20 minus 0.10, well, that's another 10%. 10 plus 10 would give me 20, and I'm adding as I go. right? Then 3, I go to 0.40. So again, I'm adding as I go. So if I do 0.40 minus 0.20, that would give me 0.20, which would give me 20%. The 20% would be in that category. And that's kind of how you would break this out. So, well, we can fill out the entire chart. Let me make this nicer here. All right, then we got 4 would be, looks like 0.45. Okay, well, that's only a difference of 0.05. That's 5%. Let's see. And you don't really need to do this to answer the questions. I'm just kind of showing you how this is, if you break it down and you look at it backwards, okay, this is how we get this chart. 0.5, or sorry, 5 would be 0.6. Okay, so if I go backwards, 0.6 minus 0.45, that would give me 0.15, so that's 15%. Let's see, 6. It's not quite in the middle, but I'm just going to say it's 0.65 just to make it nice and easy. So that would be another 5%. Where are we at? 7. That's a 0.70. Okay, so that's another 5%. So you notice it doesn't jump as much as you get towards the top here. This is in hundreds of thousands of dollars, remember? So 7 is $700,000. 8, you get to 0.80. So that was a jump of 0.10, so that's a 10% jump. 9 looks like it's about 0.85. Okay, so that is a 5% jump. 10, we're at 0.9. So another 5%. 11, you don't go anywhere. That's also at 0.9. I didn't add anything, so that's 0%. Okay, nothing happened there. And then 12, then you jump to 1.0. So then that was a jump of 10%. If I add all of these percentages up, you should get 100%. But this is where this is coming. So if you're looking at this, you say, okay, I sold $900,000 of real estate last month. Well, I'm right here, 5% of people in my agency did that. But 15% sold more than me because I look at the 10, 11, and 12. So it's kind of how you're looking at it. But if we can answer the questions, let's see. In the context of this question, explain what information is conveyed by the circled point. So if I look at the circled point, you're at 3. So that would be a monthly sales volume of $300,000. Okay, and then here's the circle point is 0.4. Okay, so what you're looking at is you could do it a couple different ways. Okay, you have 0.4, 40%. So at this point, 40% of the agents sold in this realm right here. So 40% of the agents sold between $0 and $300,000. That's what I would write. So I would write 40% of sales agents or of agents had monthly sales between 0 and 300,000. Or you could say 300,000 or less. Okay, because you're looking at a cumulative frequency graph, you're looking at it up to that point. You could say, okay, at that point, 20% of sales agents had exactly $300,000 in sales. You could say that. Okay, that would be fine. But again, if you're looking at our test, they're going to be multiple choice. That would be the multiple choice answer. If it were a short answer, you would get credit for that. Okay, because you'd have this broken out on the side and I could see your line of thinking. Okay, biggest thing is to see your line of thinking. This question is actually taken from the AP Stats test from, I don't know, like 2011 or something like that. So it's one of those open-ended questions with multiple parts. So if you were to do this on the AP Stats test, when we go and sit at the table and do the grading, well, this year it was online, which was really interesting. You kind of just did it on your own and then got feedback, but that's another time, another place. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so you're sitting there, you're grading it, you say, okay, here's what this person wrote. It's not exactly what I'm looking for, but I can see by the work that's portrayed on the side that they broke it out one by one, and if they said exactly $300,000, right? 20% of agents sold exactly $300,000, then I know what they're saying. But if it were just 20% of agents sold 300,000, you would have to have that word exactly in there to have it count for you. But this is really, you're looking at the cumulative frequency graph. You're going from this point to this point. So you're saying, okay, it's between 0 and 300,000, and that's going to account for 40% of the agents. Long explanation for that, sorry. So let's look at this. What proportion of sales agents achieve monthly sales volumes between 700,000 and 800,000? So what points on the graph are those? Yeah, 7 and 8. So you're looking at this point to this point. There's a difference of what percent? Yeah, it's 0.1. So if I go from 7 to 8, look at here. You go from 0.70 to 0.80. There's a difference of 10%. Okay, so you would say 10%. And then if you want to make it a full sentence, 10% of sales agents achieve monthly sales volumes between 700 and 800,000. So you're just looking at that point from 7 to 8. Those are your constraints. Okay, not the whole graph. For values between 10 and 11 on the horizontal axis, the cumulative frequency plot is flat. What does that mean? Yeah, so was there anything in this category? If I'm looking at the frequency here, this category here, there's 0. So there was no sales. So what we're looking at here is the sales, and that would be the point. How much money is that between 10 and 11? If it's in hundreds of thousands, it would be, this would be 100. So then this would be 1 million, and that would be 1.1 million. So there is no difference. So that means nobody had a sales volume in that category because it didn't increase at all. Okay, there was nobody in that frequency. So we would say no agents had sales between 1 million and 1.1 million. Okay, and you would want to have the million there. You would want to have the context that I know when it says hundreds of $1,000s, I can translate the shorthand to the longhand money there, not 100,000 and 110,000 or something, because that would be in 10,000s. Okay, then a bonus, next question, a bonus is to be given to the top 20, a bonus is to be given to 20% of sales agents. Okay, so you're looking at this chart. Ooh, do I get the bonus? I know in my head what my monthly sales was. Now I have to look at this chart and say, am I in the 20%? So those who achieve the highest monthly sales volume during the preceding month will receive a bonus. What is the minimum monthly sales volume an agent must have to qualify for the bonus? So you're going to go to this graph, or you can go here, and you can go, all right, 20%, what's 100 minus 20 would be 80, right? So you're looking here. Okay, that's your top 20%. Or look at the graph. Here's 0.8. So here, that's the point you're looking at. Okay, this would be from 0.8 to 1. So that's your top 20%. So if I had a sales volume of 800,000, so say mine was like $799, I'm like, oh darn, that sucks. I let that one person drop their price $1,000 and I don't get the bonus. Okay, but let's say it was 801, you're in. Okay, so that's what your threshold is. So we would say the minimum volume would be 800,000. So minimum sales 800,000. And that, oh, Jim is taxi driver. Yes, I can. Okay, so when I'm looking at, oh, down here, if I'm adding up the percentages, that's because this percent is going from here to here, because I'm doing the cumulative frequency. So I'm really looking here at this, the percent here. Okay, so this is 0.80 to 0.10. That would be a difference of 0.20. So that would give me that 20%. I'm not adding the percentages here. This would be like each relative frequency column. So like this would be 0.05, this would be 0.10. So I'm not really adding the relative frequencies here. Well, actually that frequency column, relative frequency, I just went ahead and already moved the percentages, the decimals to percents in that case. Does that make sense? So you're looking at this part here, or really look at the graph. Okay, you know this is 80, this is 100 as percents. So here's 80%, that would be my low threshold, and that would show me the top 20% here. Okay, so Jim is a taxi driver. We're going to do a stem and leaf plot real quick here. So let's see, the results for the past 20 meter readings to the nearest dollar are given below. So we're going to make a ranked stem plot, which just means in order. So if I'm drawing a line here, nope, that's long. All right, so I'm going to put my stems over here and my leaves over here. So my lowest number is 5, yeah? So what's a stem for the number 5? Isn't that a ones, right? So 0, 0, 5, you could write it like that. All right, so then in the ones, you've got a 7, a 9, and an 8. So I'd go 5, 7, 8, 9. Okay, then you've got stems, you've got tens. So in the tens, let's see, I've got 15, 19, 17, 12. So I'd start with the 12. So 1, 2, then 1, 5, then 1, did I have a 1, 6? Oh yeah, down here. Yeah. 1, 6, 1, 7, and 1, 9. Then in the 20s, I have a 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 4. Then in the 30s, 33, 34, there's no 34, I'm making that up. 35, 37, so 3, 5, and 7 there. And in the 40s, 46, 49, 6 and 9. I missed one. I did. 2, 6 and 9. There you go. And then in the 50s, 51, 57. All right, and that's all you have to do for that stem plot. And the last thing we're doing is we're going to back to this budget. And this a really long time to do in by hand, so we're going to do it in Excel. So I already put everything here. There might be extra categories that I just couldn't think of, and I was just trying to come up with arbitrary numbers, but this should be good. So here we want to do the sum, so I can do an auto sum here, make sure it has everything. So my budget total amount of money, 7,705. So then for my relative frequency, I can go equals, click on the amount, divided by, and then since I wanted to copy, I'm going to type in the 7705. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this down. So see how if I go to this little corner where the green box is, the cross is white, now it's black, wait till it's black, click on it, hold it down, and drag. Okay, that'll give you all the percents. I want that as a percent, no, I don't want it as percent, but I want to change the decimal. So I'm going to go, so here what I'm doing, see up here? So equals, and then I click on this one, then divided by, and then 7705. It's B2. So, oops. I'll show you guys again. You can't, once you're clicked on it, you can't do anything because then it messes the whole thing up. Okay. So I'm going to click in here. I'm going to type in equals. I'm going to click on the amount and then divided by. And then I'm going to type 7705, then enter. Okay. Now to get it to go down, I'm going to click this cell, see my mouse, see how it's a white box, and then I go to the bottom corner and it's a black cross. So I just click it, hold my mouse, and then drag. And then it copies the formula. Yeah, we can go to 2 decimal places. This one here, also you can highlight this and you can do the $, and it'll do money for you as well. And I'm going to just move the decimals there. And then percent, it's just this as a percent. So I can just go over here, equals, then click on the previous one, C2, enter. And then just highlight that cell and change it to a percent. So hit the percent where it says number, 23%. And then again, click and drag. So make the black cross, click, drag. And then I want to do a budget graph, a pie chart of the data. So you can do it by percent. You could actually just do it by the category and amount. So if I just highlight category and amount there and I go to insert pie graph, you can put a graph with percents in it. So I like the 2D pie. Those are my budget categories. And there's the percentages. I like the one with percents. Let's see. Just look at my chart styles here. That one's good. Probably this one. And then I can kind of look at my payments. And then you can see where your money's going. Okay, 23% of my money is going towards my mortgage. Okay, that is typically good. Most budget gurus say 25 to 30%. 5 utilities, childcare, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of break it down however you want. 6% of savings is probably not that great, but you're just going through and you're looking at your categories. Most of you probably do not do your own budgeting, but some of you do. But this is something that will be, well, it's going to be a requirement. You're all going to do it at some point. You're going to grow up and pay your own bills. How did I get where? The pie chart. All right, so I'm just highlighting. I highlighted category and amount. You could do highlight category and percent also if you want, and then insert, and then in my charts. So I'm clicking on the circle one here, insert pie or donut chart. Don't do a donut chart, I don't like them. But you could do a pie chart, you do a 3D pie. That's kind of cool. You could do, no, that's too much. So I just click, left click, and highlight. So you just highlight them. And then you can kind of see like where the biggest chunks are. It just makes it visual for you, right? You got a big chunk here. You got a big chunk here. You got a big chunk here. Kids are expensive. You got a big chunk here. So just kind of going over this. And then, like I said, when we do a extra credit project, this is probably going to be part of it. Because I want you guys to have practice doing this so that when you do grow up and you get a real job, you know how to budget your money and hopefully save some of your money and not spend all of it or spend more than you make, right? All right. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let me stop the recording.